Sathe College Department of Geography and the Bombay Geographical Association. I, Lieutenant Kasturi Medhekar, would like to extend a warm welcome to everybody present here for the Principal C.B. Joshi Memorial Lecture. We are extremely lucky to have with us today Dr. Lakshmi Vyas, former principal of Elphinstone College. She is the visiting professor at American University of Sovereign Nations. She is here today to enlighten us on the topic of environmental ethics, consumptions, and ecological challenge. On this occasion, I also warmly welcome Dr. Madhav Rajwade, Principal, and Srimati Pramodini Sawant and Dr. Dattatreya Nerkar, Vice Principals of Sathe College. I also welcome Dr. Savismita Sawan, President of Bombay Geographical Association and retired professor from University of Mumbai, Dr. Dipti Mukherjee, Vice President of Bombay Geographical Association and retired professor from University of Mumbai, Srimati Bharti Unni, Secretary of Bombay Geographical Association and retired professor from Sathe College, Dr. Vinayak Phadke Sir, retired professor from University of Mumbai, Dr. Aparna Phadke, and Sri Vijay Joshi, son of Sir Principal C.B. Joshi, and all the dignitaries and members of the Bombay Geographical Association and all dear participants for today's event. Before starting the event, I would like to throw a light on today's topic, that is environmental ethics. As it revolves around making human communities an ecosystem, it also tells us about protecting important resources for the present and the future. It is the time that we all should be concerned to these contemporary environmental challenges and should plan the necessary conservation methods for the same. As these topics are of utmost importance, we are grateful to Dr. Vyas for sparing her time from the busy schedule to educate us on this topic today. Moving on ahead to today's program, first we will be starting by paying the tribute to Principal C.B. Joshi by Principal Dr. Madhav Rajwade Sir, Shri D.D. Bombay Sir from Sathe College.
Afternoon, one and all. Respected dignitaries, today's chief guest, Lakshmi Vyas Madam, Principal of the college, Dr. Madhav Rajwade Sir, other dignitaries, Dr. Hemant Pednekar Sir, Savasmita Ma'am, Devre Sir, Bharti Unni Madam, Phadke Sir, and all dignitaries present over here. Uh, I welcome you all on the behalf of the Department of Geography for this event. Department of Geography, Sathe College, which was founded under the guideship of the Principal Professor C.B. Joshi as a Parle College that time, and later on named Sathe College and Department, assisted by the B. Arunachalam for the undergraduate and later on converted into a postgraduate department in the year 1960. It's a pioneer department which have given so many dignitaries and personalities for the Mumbai University as a teachers, planners, and with a different fields. This department initially offered BA and BSc undergraduate course and later on MA and MSc postgraduate course, which later on made some certificate courses like geoinformatics, travel and tourism in the department. Now, department regularly organizing the seminars, conferences, exhibitions, then teachers training, field trips to the different places. Uh, last 2 years, we had visited like Hivre Bazar, Ralegan Siddhi, such places we do visit, and having the exhibitions, conference every year for both school and college students. The department which was headed by Amrute sir and later on by the Bharti Unni madam. Uh, all the faculties of the geography department of Sate College had contributed and contribute even now also in the field of geography with a capacities right from publishing the books, magazines, atlases, and other fields also. Worked in a university at a different capacity to take this particular subject at a particular height. We must take the name of Phadke sir also, ex-student of the college, who headed the Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, and contributed a lot in the development of the subject. Other Another head of the Department of Geography, Bharti Unni madam, also had contributed in the subject and developed the department to an extent. Later on, the charge in the year 2016, myself, Naneshwar Bombay, I got the charge of the department. And yes, we have also trying to take this department and maintain the quality and dignity of the department. And yes, the students are enjoying the course, which is our department and the environment which is there in the department, because our department is full of and many resources which we do have like topographical maps, land use map, thematic maps, weather maps, remote sensing images, aerial photographs, planning series map, 3D maps, admiral charts, LCD projector, GIS software, internet connection, film projector, surveying instrument, and so on. So it's actually a resource full department which where we are working and we do have proud of it. Of course, the students also enjoying environment, very good environment in the department, and this department. I assure you all that this department, the Department of Geography, Sate College, will enhance further and further, and its quality also, and the students who are passing out from the department will be the mark for the geography, and they are making the careers in geography. Recently, our students are taking the admissions at PG in TISS, then MSc in Geoinformatics in Symbiosis University, Bharati Vidyapeeth. Even for diplomas, some students have already taken the admission in Canada also. So they are going out. Even MBA in travel tourism, some students they are doing that. MA in travel and tourism, then water policy and even environment management. Some students approaching for that also. So it's a very good set for the students development, the department which had provided in the past, and yes, of course, in present situation also, the department is also very much supported by the principal and management, and department developing its capacity to the level to have the geography subject in the people and with the people. Thank you so much. I request Kasturi to take over the session.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon Principal Dr. Madhav Rajwade sir to kindly welcome our resource person, Principal Lakshmi Vyas, and also say a few words about Sathe College.
Thank you, Kasturi, and it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome our esteemed speaker of the day, Principal Dr. Lakshmi Vyas, and it also gives me particular happiness that the BGA activities have once again begun at Sathe College. We all know what special place our college has in the fraternity of subject of geography in the University of Mumbai. And in that context, I'm saying that it's a very good thing that these activities have begun. I also welcome amongst all of us President BGA Chavan, SV Chavan, and also the our own Bharti Unni madam, who was HOD of this same department. But now, today, she's in the capacity of Secretary of BGA. I'm very happy to see that our former principal, Dr. Kavita Rege, she's also here with us. We cannot forget Phadke sir, Amrute sir, who have nurtured the subject of geography at the university level and at the college level as well. And I'm indeed happy to note that Mr. Vijay Doshi sir and Devre sir, they are both here to grace the occasion. And this particular format which we have today, which has become commonplace now, that we meet in this particular virtual format, has been adopted, and so many of you have made it convenient to join. That is indeed our pleasure. And as I said in the beginning, that Sathe College, formerly Parley College, and the subject of geography have a special association in that our founder principal, C.B. Doshi, was from this subject, and in a way anybody nurtures their own child in that fashion. He had nurtured this subject. We have heard many stories from our predecessors in this regard, and in that context I said that I'm very happy that we are doing this today, and even the subject is of great relevance to all of us, and especially the climate change related difficulties and challenges which are going to be faced by all of us and all future generations. So very happy gathering today. About Sathe College, I am not going to take too much of your time. Just to say that we have, since the time we had begun activities of BGA, have had many occasions to listen to many experts. We make sure that our students are ably supplemented by the experience, knowledge, and depth of understanding of various visiting faculties, guest lectures, so to see that the regular classroom teaching is ably complemented by the breadth and width of the wisdom of all these experts. That is our regular attempt in all subjects. Today, particularly, we learnt about the efforts of Department of Geography, but to large measure, each department attempts that their students are exposed to such knowledge and such activities, so that they can attain what this college is actually has a motto is actually achieved, that is Purnata Gauravai. That students try and attempt fullness of their personality, fullness of their knowledge, and on the whole embark on the path of attainment of their personality. So in that sense, this has been our journey, and along with us, we have been successful, we can say, partly only because of these associations which we have had of all the dignitaries through this particular journey. So I wish all the best to today's proceedings and all future activities of BGA, and welcome once again I request the organizers to take this particular program ahead. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. She's having some technical issue. She's coming. Just give a second, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I now request Professor Bharti Unni ma'am, Secretary of Bombay Geographical Association, to kindly say a few words about the Bombay Geographical Association.
Good afternoon, all the esteemed guests who have joined us today for this late Principal C.V. Joshi Memorial Lecture. Good morning to Dr. Lakshmi Vyas, because she is at another place where it is morning today. I'll speak a few words about Bombay Geography Association. The Bombay Geography Association is one of the oldest registered geographical association. From 1935, housed at Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. The BGA has a rich legacy of well-known geographers, academicians, administrators, and philanthropists who have been the founder pillars as presidents of the association during their tenure, namely late Principal C.V. Joshi, late Sri Iyer, late C.D. Deshpande, late Sri N.M. Joshi, late Sri Vakil, late Professor B. Arunachalam, late Dr. K. Sita, Dr. K.S. Phadke, Professor V.G. Amrute, Professor S. Ebenezer, and presently my colleague and best friend, Dr. Savismita Vilasdav Chavan. The BG has been conducting various academic programs for disseminating knowledge in geography through conferences, seminars, workshops, refresher courses, orientation, diploma courses, field trips, training programs, map exhibitions, etc. for college and schools in association with Board of Studies Geography and Department of Geography, University of Mumbai at international, national, state, and levels over the year with kind support from authorities at University of Mumbai. The BGA has total of 29 publications in the form of annual research journal, namely Bombay Geographical Magazine, occasional papers at Monograph. BGA has provided platform through awards and geographers and students instituted and sponsored by one, Srimati Shanti Devi Banerjee Prize to postgraduate students of Mumbai University for the from the Corpus Fund deposited by Professor Bharti Unni, retired as Head of Geography Department, Sate College, in the memory of her beloved mother. Second, Mrs. Kadi Memorial Prize to undergraduate of Mumbai University from the Corpus Fund donated by Mr. K. Kamraj, an industrialist. Third, late Sri Shankar Raghunath Rao Memorial Award for Best Postgraduate Student in Geography, University of Mumbai, from the Corpus Fund donated by Professor Vijay S. Rao in the memory of his beloved mother. Late Sir Ambikatai Shankar Rao Memorial Prize, instituted by the family members for rewarding a student securing highest mark at SSC examination. among the students around Vidyanagari. We are also happy to announce that BGA has created its website, and very soon our activities and other details will be displayed on the same. BGA is honored and blessed to organize memorial lecture of late Principal C.V. Joshi with the generous fund donated by his son Sri Vijay Joshi and family. BGA is also honored to be associated with the Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, and organizing Dr. C.D. Deshpande Memorial Lecture over the years. We at BGA have proposed to organize memorial lectures for our beloved teacher, late Professor B. Arunachalam and late Dr. K. Sita, for their great contribution in enriching and grooming their students at Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. We request for your generous contribution and support towards this cause. Kindly do the needful at the earliest. We plan to organize these memorial lectures in the second week of March 2021. I thank you all for being on the platform to mark our tribute to late Principal C.V. Joshi. There's a screen over here, and it is giving you the details about the bank account where we expect you to contribute generously. The bank account is, bank's name is Allahabad Bank. Bank address is Kalira branch, Santa Cruz East, Mumbai 98. And to be drawn in favor of the Bombay Geographical Association and account number. So I wish you all take the screenshot for the details for payment for the same.
This can hardly be seen.
Those who wish to give the account can sir. Yeah.
Sorry, please increase the size.
Yeah. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Please keep this in chat box as well. Throughout the talk, it should be available. Kasturi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Unu ma'am. Now I call upon Dr. Dipti Mukherjee ma'am, Vice President of Bombay Geographical Association, to introduce Principal C.V. Joshi sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I welcome in this August gathering the distinguished guests, my fellow teachers and students, for this CD memorial lecture to be delivered by Dr. Lakshmi Vyas. It's a very difficult task for me to introduce Principal C.V. Joshi, because when I was given this task by the present president that please give this lecture and introduce Principal C.V. Joshi, I told her that I have not met him and I didn't have any opportunity, and I was a very junior teacher at that time. So I gathered all the references from my senior teachers and all the information which is possible, as much as possible, and that I'm going to present today in this introductory lecture regarding Principal C.V. Joshi. Principal C.V. Joshi is a legendary figure in geography, and it is my distinct pleasure as a member of Bombay Geographical Association for a long time and as a retired faculty member from the Department of Geography to introduce Principal C.V. Joshi in Sathe College, which is hosting this CD Memorial Lecture. And also, I welcome the member of CB Joshi's family members, that is Principal Joshi's son, Sri Vijay Joshi, to be present here. And also, I also welcome Principal of Sathe College, Professor Rajwadi. It is a difficult task for me to introduce Principal CV Joshi in a short period of time, but I will just try my best and I will try to be as brief as possible. Principal Joshi obtained his graduation degree from Cambridge University. He was a towering personality, and this is reflected in his successful upbringing of the two reputed colleges in Mumbai. That is first the Ruparel College in Matunga and Parle College in Vilepalli, that is the then Parle College, now it is Sathe College, as the founder principal. He knew that the institutions of higher learning are not the mere training institutes, but they should impart education. So therefore, he aimed at overall development of the students. He was a true educationist, and he opposed that time what I heard from my senior professor, that he opposed the morning colleges because he thought that would make a mockery of education. Principal CB Joshi has contributed immensely for introducing and developing the growth of subject of geography in Mumbai, which many of the young students and present students would not have known. As a principal of Ruparel College in Matunga, he has established the foundation of geography, and also along with it, he has developed the geography in Sathe College. And his commitment and vision is commendable. I know that Principal Joshi was not known very much to the younger generation of students in geography. And they also don't know how he has developed the subject of geography at the university, in the undergraduate level and also as the postgraduate level. When he became the principal, he developed the subject of geography in Department of Geography in Sathe College. And that I have seen with my brief stint as a teacher in the faculty member in the Department of Geography, that his portrait was displayed on the wall when I used to enter from the door to the department. He had tremendous institutional affiliations, and he possessed qualities which today will be useful as a guide to the educational managers for their future development. He had the power of tolerance. This is what I heard from my senior professors, which was very much necessary when he was facing tremendous opposition from other life members of Ruparel College. He had to move some unpleasant resolutions in the meetings of the board of life members, and finally he achieved the pleasant output. This is what I have heard from Professor V.S. Farke. He had the powers to discriminate and judge, because of which he could select best available faculty at that time. He had power to face his opponents who were sarcastic at that time. And he was very cooperative. And once he developed confidence in individuals, he never interfered in their work and always encouraged them to go ahead. And thereby he had capacities to withdraw and also pack up whenever it is necessary. And this is how he finally left Ruparel College and went as a principal to Parle College, then Parle College and today Sathe College. Principal Joshi had led the foundation of geography in the university by introducing the subject, taking a top-down approach. And as this was the easiest route. It was a reality difficult task to these days, and he has proved the worth. The fellow life members of the modern education society sometimes used to make fun of Principal Joshi. And when Principal Joshi came to know that when they came to know that Principal Joshi can measure the height of a tree without climbing it, and he was so excited, more than Archimedes. But he was never unnerved by such criticism. He ran the PG, that is postgraduate courses, with a dedicated team of Professor Arunachalam, Dr. K. Sita, but with their relentless efforts, geography would not have seen the days in the university, in the Sate College postgraduate department, and also in the University Department of Geography. Principal Joshi had endearing qualities, and he was very popular among the students and staff. Sometimes, because of financial causes, if students were not able to pay their fees, he used to help them. His work and philosophy collectively and critically taught us to rethink our current ways of learning and organizing. And what I heard from senior professors who were associated with Principal Joshi, he had the ability to make even the more complex concept very understandable. He was always willing to mentor students. He did not believe in armchair geography. And also what I heard long time back from Professor Arunachalam, that he did extensive fieldwork along the Konkan coast. His academic achievement, therefore, was very excellent, and his professional perspective was immense. My teachers who watched him from close quarters brought out a memoriam volume in 1966. And for that reason, they raised a fund and also prize and scholarship. Bombay Geographical Association, which scaled high peaks under his stewardship, did not pursue the matter any longer for certain reason or the other. And it was that time, it was not that people did not want to forget him. Unfortunately, geography was because one of the reasons of this was geography was not very popular in the postgraduate section, and also it was taught in only 2 colleges at the undergraduate level. And also another reason for this was the tradition of instituting memorial lecture series was not firmly established. But this Bombay Geographical Association, he made a very big effort from Royal Geographical Society to bring it to the Bombay Geographical Society during that time. And it was a very hard task for him. Principal C.B. Joshi promoted Bombay Geographical Magazine and gave his best as a chief editor. He was there. For 1 decade of existence, he was there. And I would like to say some of the articles which were there in these volumes were excellent. And one of them I would like to quote is The Origin of Bombay, where he talked about how Bombay was created, today's Mumbai, and how he described the 7 islands of Bombay and Salsette, how it has evolved and emerged. Because in the Salsette, there were 66 villages, Shashashti, and I think it is a must read for all the students. And BGA is indeed proud to organize this C.B. Joshi Memorial Lecture and the generous fund which was donated from the Principal Joshi's family members. But unfortunately, he had an early death, and it was also unfortunate that all of us have almost forgotten him. And all the formalities which was raised and the fund which was created instituted a scholarship. Now I would like to mention here that it was Professor S. Ebenezer the faculty member, retired faculty member from Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, who brought him back in the limelight after he became the honorary secretary of BGA by literally digging the information from the old records and honoring him by instituting a memorial lecture series in his name. This I want to underscore. This was a point because the Professor Ebenezer also did not knew him and also not have seen him. And it was in the year 1998, our honorary secretary, Professor Ebenezer, in the Department of Geography, took pains to fathom him from the back issues of Bombay Geographical Magazine and realized that there was a man who has put a tremendous effort to further the interest of the subject and deserves due honor that was some or how missing till then. He had not even seen Principal Joshi, as I told you, and we were lucky during that time to have Professor C.D. Deshpande, a very close friend and colleague and a founder head of Department of Geography, University of Mumbai, to deliver the first lecture in the series in 1999. So this is what I can just say about Principal Joshi. And I thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to very briefly present and introduce Principal C.V. Joshi and to talk about this noble man and about his noble teaching and the noble work for the cause of the subject geography. Now today, we are honored to have with us son of Principal C.V. Joshi, Vijay Joshi. Now, Vijay Joshi was recruited as an officer through All India Competitive Examination in Insurance Agency and retired as General Manager from General Insurance Corporation of India during his tenure, which spanned for 38 years of dedicated service. Sir Vijay Joshi handled many challenges and technical assignments. Presently, he is engaged in providing insurance technical consultancy. Now, I would like to invite Vijay Joshi, sir, to say some few words. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I think some technical problem is there with Vijay Joshi sir.
Yes, yes.
Connected. So if possible, maybe somewhere in between he would be able to join, and then we can request him to say a few words. So I over to Bombay sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dipti ma'am. Now I call upon Dr. Savismita Chavan ma'am, President of Bombay Geographical Association, to introduce our today's resource person, Principal Dr. Lakshmi Vyas.
Thank you, Kasturi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaskar. With my sincere prayers to Almighty and His blessings to one and all, I am indeed pleased today on this platform on behalf of the Bombay Geographical Association to introduce our beloved friend, teacher, colleague, great supporter, Dr. Lakshmi Vyas Madam. Dr. Lakshmi Vyas Madam is an educationist come academician and served as principal of one of the most reputed Elphinstone College in Mumbai. She continues to work as an internal and external quality officer in United Kingdom. Against all odds, she was one of the first women to have worked on noise pollution and eventually obtained a PhD on spatial variations in noise levels in Mumbai and other cities in India. During this period, Dr. Vyas was inducted in the Central Pollution Control Board along with Saad Ali and Dr. Oak to produce a manual of noise pollution and finally to frame the Noise Rule 2000. Dr. Lakshmi Vyas was invited as a visiting faculty by Syracuse University, New York in 2002 to share her views on noise pollution with Environment and Forest Department, which was a memorable experience. Dr. Vyas travels widely to many European countries on a regular basis and liaises with the European Parliament and European Commission. Dr. Lakshmi Vyas Madam speaks, reads, and writes 7 languages. Great honor to all of us. English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, Malayalam, and Bhojpuri. Wow. She can understand Urdu, Punjabi, Kannada, and is learning Spanish. Dr. Lakshmi Vyas Madam was awarded Best Teacher by Mumbai University in the year 2007, Best Teacher by Rotary Hindujas, Best Service for Humanity by Metropolitan Police, and many more awards. Dr. Lakshmi Vyas has authored 3 books, one on noise pollution, second urban planning, and third on environment and commerce, e-textbook for first year BCom. She has to her credit more than 30 research papers published in well-known international journals. Dr. Vyas currently works on climate change issues in United Kingdom and pursues with anything to do with the environmental issues. Dr. Vyas has fondest memories of University of Mumbai, Parle College, Sathe College, and Elphinstone College. Madam, we are really very lucky and blessed to have you here with us on this platform during this particular program of Principal C.B. Joshi Memorial Lecture. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I call upon our today's resource person, Principal Dr. Lakshmi Vyas, ma'am, to kindly begin the today's memorial lecture.
Unmute.
बोलो ना.
Unmute, Lakshmi.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm indeed very much thankful for that wonderful introduction by Sabita Madam. Many thanks. It is indeed a matter of privilege for me to be here and talk to all of you. I would like to start with my dear colleagues of Bombay Geographical Association, Sathe College, management, principal and staff, professors and faculty members of Mumbai University, Geography Department and Geography lecturers of affiliated colleges, distinguished invitees, family of Principal C.B. Joshi, and all the young and inspiring students. I thank Bombay Geographical Association and University of Mumbai Department of Geography for inviting me to deliver this prestigious Principal C.B. Joshi Memorial Lecture. I am really honored and appreciate this kind gesture. Talking about Principal C.B. Joshi, he was sort of known to me. I used to stay 2 buildings away from Parla College. If those of you who are there, it used to be known as the Sargam building. It was just walking 2 minutes walk distance for me to go to the college. So we used to play, before 1965, when I was a kid, we used to go to Pala College to play. And there I used to see Principal Joshi, royally taking a wonderful walk on the sides while we play in the ground. And he used to give a wonderful smile. I mean, we didn't even know, I didn't even know his magnanimity at that time. I joined the Pala College in 1967 as a student. So I was unfortunate that I could not be under Principal Joshi. But I very much remember my uncle pursued his mathematics in Ruparel College, and his principal was C.B. Joshi. So I have heard many stories from my uncle, and it is very much similar to many things that Dipti madam said. And I appreciate that Dipti madam could collect so much of information on Principal C.B. Joshi. And as she said, he was a very kind man. I remember my uncle, he was with Professor Tulpule, who's a professor of Pala College, and Professor Natkarni. They were all together studying. And sometimes they could not pay their fees. So they used to go and tell the principal, I will give it to you later. He used to say, don't worry about it. Give when you have the money. Don't again come to me to, talk about it. That kind he was. So I have his wonderful memories. And about Pala College, I was a student there for 4 years. And Arunachalam sir and Amrite sir taught me those years. And I used to be in the evening section. The morning college was not opened at all, but there was an evening section. So I was in the evening section, and it was very comfortable, during that time. Arunachalam and Amrite sir, Marvin Kurve, all these people used to come, and it was like a geographical environment. Of course, I respect all my predecessors. I pay my pranams to C.D. Deshpande, Principal C.B. Joshi, Professor Arunachalam, and Dr. Sita, who have sown the seeds of geography into all of us. My topic today is environmental ethics, consumption, and ecological challenges. This I selected because of the current challenging time of the COVID-19 pandemic, where environment plays a significant role. Is there a PowerPoint? Okay. Environmental ethics, ecological challenges, and introduction. In a short span of time, COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the world order and normal life, since high proportion of the human population was locked up. There were very few people on the roads. The trains, cars, trucks, flights, and number of other activities had come to a standstill. What happened? In accordance with the ethical principle of non-maleficence and the dread of death, or to save the lives of citizens, a temporary lockdown was enforced in most countries as a public measure. In many cities, the animal kingdom had a good respite, particularly birds, insects, and bees could move freely, depending upon where and which country we live. It may have been the flamingos visibly present, or the wild boars, or the elephants, or the nilgai, bear, wild goats, dolphins, antelopes, deer, hippopotamus, and number of other animals were being spotted where human activity otherwise dispelled them. In cases where these animals were fed through tourism, there have been cases of hunger as well. We also tragically witnessing a huge mass of human hunger and displacement, the toll of suffering of humanity due to hunger, resulting from poverty and induced by toppled economies. Next, I'm giving you a diagram. Is the diagram there? Yes, this gives you, this is an ethics diagram, which tells you, right on the top you have duty, rights, etc. And as you come to the bottom, some of the worst consequences of ethics is egoism and unitarianism. So these, next slide please. Regarding the environment, ecological responses to the shutdown were an outstanding expression of nature's resilience, with up to 26% mitigation in polluting agents. The response included clear skies, clean rivers, oceans, animal freedom, and increased visibility. That it is predicted to be substantial reduction in carbon dioxide emissions in 2020. Mountains which were usually hidden by smoke became visible from the Himalayas to the Alps. This is due to the combination of a reduction of traffic, both on land and air, reduced emissions from industry, factories, and reduction of particulate matter in the atmosphere. There is also significant reduction in seismic noise with reduced land and air travel, less fracking for oil, and other industrial disturbance. This relative silence from human activity was allowed a re-emergence of natural harmonics. Next slide, please. This gives a diagram of, again, ethics. What do you need to follow in ethics? So respect, fairness, honesty, excellence, responsibility, compassion, etc. with respect to environment. Next slide, please. So environmental ethics, I will quickly go through it because it's a very important aspect of this paper. Environmental ethics explores the relationship between human beings and environment. Humans are a part of society coexisting with other living creatures, which includes plants and animals. The ecocentric ideology is very important part of our world and is a functional part of what it means to be human. It is only for their preservation, but also for benefits of quality of life. Environmental ethics is a branch of applied philosophy that studies the conceptual foundations of environmental values, as well as more concrete issues surrounding societal attitudes, actions, policies to protect and sustain biodiversity and ecological systems. Here I would just say that the flora and the fauna, and as well as the non-living parts, did play a positive impact during the pandemic. But we have to know that the plants and the animals are reclaiming the land that we forgot to share with them, or instead snatched away from them. That's what we saw. Also, it is quite vivid that environment seems to have activated the hidden reset button that it had to replenish itself and recover from the after effects of rapid industrialization. And here I can just give you an example of how in the coastline of Orissa, the endangered olive ridley sea turtles came to shore to dip their nests and laid eggs, literally 60 million. So this is a wonder that is because of the COVID. Next slide, please. Environmental pollution is one of the greatest challenges that the world is facing today. And as Leopold and Carson have written, pollution occurs when ethics is not good. An important point is whether non-human beings only have an instrumental value or whether they have an intrinsic value. Aristotle said, nature has made all things specifically for the sake of man, which means non-human beings only have an instrumental value, or they are meant to serve as instruments to human beings. This is a question we all have to answer. Rachel Carson, 1962, an environmentalist who led philosophers to consider the philosophical aspect of environmental problems, pioneered the development of environmental ethics as a branch of environmental philosophy. Several years later, the consequences of human development on the natural environment became the subject of Ehrlich's population bomb, 1968, as it alerted public of the environmental devastation caused by human population growth. Subsequently, many thinkers called attention to environmental issues, giving rise to environmentalism and forcing reassessment of relationship between humans and the environment. Next slide. In the modern ethics, Aldo Leopold played a key role as an author, scientist, environmentalist, ecologist, forester, and conservationist. His ecocentric views were dominant in the development of modern environmental ethics. Ecocentrism deems the whole ecosystem as important, as opposed to anthropocentrism that believes humans to be the most important in the universe. According to ecocentrism, there are no existential differences between the human and non-human entities in nature, which means humans are not more valuable than any other component of the environment. Humans, as well as plants, animals, and other constituents of nature, have an inherent value. According to Holmes Rolston, a theologist and an environmental philosopher, he says that protection of species is our moral responsibility as they have an intrinsic value. In his view, the loss of species spells disrespect to nature's process of speciation. According to him, biological processes deserve respect. Thus, any action that translates into disregard for the environment is unethical. Philosopher Tom Regan argues that animals and human beings are entitled to rights because they are aware of their existence, which does not apply to plants. Philosopher Paul Taylor is of the view that plants have intrinsic value and they are entitled to respects but not rights. In 1972, the paper written by Christopher D. Stone, Should Trees Have a Standing, said that if corporations can be assigned rights, why not the trees? So trees also should be given equal rights. Therefore, it is very important to be remembered that environmental ethics is a moral responsibility to preserve and conserve nature for our generation and posterity. Next slide, please. Here I'll quickly go over to what Swami Vivekananda said, how you contribute to the nature. The great secret of true success or true happiness is the man or woman who asks for no return. The perfectly unselfish person is the most successful person. So this is what Vivekananda said, and it is true that why should we keep on holding and holding things? Next slide, please. Consumption. So consumption plays a very important role in environmental ethics. The main drivers of environmental harm from the socio-economic perspectives include emissions of substances because of free movement of goods, capitals and workers, industry, trade, tourism, forest fires, deforestation, wildlife trade, conversion of forest to agricultural land. Increased consumption is associated with high use of electricity and transport emissions. The quality and quantity of fresh water and groundwater is affected. Acidification, contamination, and salinity of soil, soil erosion has also generally increased with more consumption. The divide between rural-urban areas is changing, and agricultural practices affect environment. We can also consider the imbalance between rich and the poor countries in energy consumption, fossil fuel consumption, and raw materials. The broad imbalance has been called by some people as global apartheid. That is, his name is Havill Land, 1997. It also brings to notice that one North American consumes several hundred times the resources of most Africans. So many indicators of quality of life vary between rich and poor, such as life expectancy, pollution-related diseases, and leisure time. The right to personal enjoyment of love of life is denied to many of the world's population by economic and social structures because of lack of love shown to the neighbor. The wildlife trade has also contributed to loss of animals and species as biodiversity is depleted. There are existing methods to allow us all and countries to analyze the economic, environmental, social impact of actions and to offer guidance and sustainability impact assessment. Next slide, please. We need a fresh approach to add to the battle of protecting the environment. In the long term, the most important approach is lasting change of human attitudes. So this has to be remembered, human change of attitudes to those that are compatible with sustainable life. We need lifestyle change. This is quoted by Macer, 1994 and 1998. I work with him. So we need a lifestyle change. We cannot isolate any environmental problem from the whole crisis of modern life. The environment is influenced mainly by human behavior, national and international development, economics, and politics. The recognition that we live on space Earth has led to the growing acceptance of international accords such as the United Bills on Human Rights, the Law of the Sea, the Montreal Protocol to eliminate the production of ozone-depleting chlorofluorocarbons, and the Antarctic Treaty ban on mining. As peoples of the world attempt to unite more, especially in the increasingly positive international spirit of the last few years, further agreements on global responsibility will be made. However, lasting attitude change to proper stewardship is required to save the planet. There is a danger that, like many short-lived public concerns of the last few decades, the focus of ecological survival will pass. In order to assure the permanent attitude change that is necessary for lasting Earth, we must consider how people view. So the attitude of the people and how people view is very, very significant. Next. This is again a diagram which gives you relationship between environment and our social system, economic system, how we prosper, etc. Next slide, please. Sustainability. At the end of this paper, there are a series of recommendations that I have given, which I will read it out. We are left with an opportunity to redefine popular understanding of sustainability with respect, value, and ethical relationship to sustainable development. The ecocentric reinterpretation or reorientation is more inclusive and recognizes social economic values in realistic balance with the natural world. It focuses greater emphasis on interdependence of humans as an intrinsic species of ecosphere. In this context, we may refer to the importance of free transfer of life, the environment-saving technology from the developed to the developing nations, as has been envisioned in the pivotal International Agreement on Climatic Change, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change, 1992. There has to be a global consensus and a philanthropic attitude on part of the developed nations to enable this knowledge dissemination, which should energize rather than stifle decentralized development at the lowest level of living, non-living integration. Can we hope that instance of such sharing would be there among the characteristic features of an ecocentric or an altruistic world? So this is the sharing between the rich and the poor countries is very important. This is again a diagram which shows orientation modules could be developed for enabling people to identify with nature and recognize themselves as partners and participants rather than outsiders or exploiters. That is what this diagram shows. Like if you go outside, you have more and more urban, rural areas and forest lands. Next, please. Next slide. Challenges. The aforesaid distractions and the pandemic, total mismanagement of how we deal with our environment, Australian bushfires, hottest January on record last year, deadly locust outbreak in Horn of Africa in decades, again last year, or the destruction of rainforest, the planet is sending as an urgent message. If we do not take care of the environment, we are not fit to live in this planet. It would be wise for us to heed this call. Let us fix an amicable relationship with the planet. Let us repair the damage that has been done by changing our productions and consumption habits, buying less, wasting less, and repurposing more, like the way we are doing now in the lockout. This is a quote by Mahatma Gandhi, which is very interesting. There is a sufficiency in the world for man's need, but not for man's greed. It's so true. I mean, hoarding is very bad. There is enough for us. Why should we hoard? Next slide. Now, this is the recommendations that I have made. There are 15 of them. I shall read most of them quickly. And if these things are followed, definitely most of them are included in the Earth Charter. But again, some more I have put in. Urgent actions required to meet the ecological challenges. Number 1, destruction of Amazon rainforest in South America should be stopped straight away. In return for stopping the destruction of forests, countries like Brazil, which are home to these forests, should be given financial assistance and incentives to become guardian of these forests. I think such practices also we have in India under the social forestry scheme. Second, it should become mandatory for every new building to have solar panels. All existing buildings should also be installed with solar panels as per climatic suitability and Earth Charter principles. Slums, shantytowns, and heritage buildings can be exempt. Number 3, all traditional crafts and arts, as well as cottage industries, should be revived. Number 4, the surviving traditional communities like the Maasai of East Africa, the Aborigines of Australia, the Bishnais of India, you must have heard about them, and the original inhabitants of the Americas should be represented on all national and international forums so that with humility, we can learn from the art of protecting Mother Earth. Next slide, please. Number 5, all export of weapons of war should be stopped. It might earn nations money, but it is blood money which will never bring any joy. This is said by the Earth Charter 6D and E. Where prevent pollution of any part of environment and allow no buildup of radioactive, toxic, and other hazardous substances. And E is avoid military activities damaging to the environment. Number 6, there should be some overhaul of education system. The emphasis should shift from pursuance of gross materialism to appreciating and preserving our planet. Environmental studies and education should be made compulsory. Earth Charter 14 A, B, C, D. Number 7, treat all living beings with respect and consideration. Earth Charter 15 ABC. It is best if mankind will adopt a plant-based diet. This will prevent cruelty to animals on account of hunting, trapping, killing, and avoid extreme, prolonged, or avoidable sufferings to animals. Meat eaters can reduce meat from 7 days in a week to 2 days in a week. 8, next slide, please. Urban migration. In the developing world, the flow of people from villages to cities need to be stopped with utter urgency. Urbanization results from a natural increase in population, rural to urban and rural to urban migration. People migrate to towns and cities in the hope of gaining better standard of living. This situation can be altered by providing the required infrastructure to the rural areas for agriculture, higher education, storage facilities, and some assurance of finances and modern equipment. Our aim should be to make every village self-sufficient. Again, I like to mention that even Mahatma Gandhi always proclaimed that he wants every village to become self-sufficient. Number 9, ask yourself, do you need that extra car, that extra clothes, or the extra properties? These are individual decisions, but in larger interest of the world population. The extravagance can be reduced. This is Earth Charter 7A and F and 10A. It talks about reduce, reuse, and recycle to safeguard Earth's regenerative capacities and community well-being. Number 10, almost all nations should adopt a 2-children policy. The human population is almost exploding while the food production is not keeping pace. The nations and individuals should have a population policy consistent with sustainable future. Next slide, please. The pharmaceutical companies and the medical world should open to accommodate alternative practices like yoga, acupuncture, Ayurveda, and other traditional practices should be integrated in the medical system. So Earth Charter 8 ABC. Example is Ayush, what we do in India. It is being practiced also in China, Japan, in India, Sri Lanka, and some other countries. Germany is one of them. 12, every town and village should have a mini forest or a woodland in its border. Reviving the biodiversity of our planet is the need of the hour. Plant trees as often as possible. 13, the youth population should be actively involved in protecting the earth. One recent example is Greta Thunberg from Sweden, who shot to fame as she vocally proclaimed on climate change over the world. In 2019, the largest rainforest in the world, responsible for producing 20% of the world's oxygen, was almost burned to the ground. Number 14, pesticides contaminate soil, water, turf, and other vegetation, in addition to killing insects and weeds. Pesticides are toxic to a host of other organisms, including birds, fish, beneficial insects, and non-target plants. Whole communities in the countries like Peru in South America suffer from respiratory problems and other ailments as their environment is saturated with pesticides used to protect mainly soya crops. And soya crops are exported to US to feed billions of cattle raised for beef production. This is Earth Chapter 5A, B, C, D, E, F. And the last one, 15, request the world authorities to have a compulsive environmental or ecologic holiday for 30 days every year to protect the environment. For example, use of restricted cars, trains, flights to be adopted. Such an environmental holiday can coincide with school and college vacation. Of course, with exemptions on ambulances, fire engines, emergency services, farmers, disabled persons, and other needy essentials. This can give a lease of life to environment and its support system. Next page, please. This is the last one. Ethics-based governance and leadership is the need of the day. Future environmental health of the global population depends on the ethics-based education of global citizens. This will safeguard global population from further challenges related to health, economic and social conditions, and mass destruction of ethical environment. I will end this paper with a quote again from Mahatma Gandhi. The earth and the air and the land and the water are not an inheritance from our forefathers, but a loan from our children. So we have to hand over to them at least as it was handed over to us. What a wonderful quote it is. So we cannot use the environment indefinitely. Thank you very much for giving me a patient here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for this lecture. It surely has created a great impact on all of us. Now, I would declare that this interactive session is open for the questions. If anybody is asking the questions, you may please enter your names in the chat box so that we could take it one by one.
Kasturi,
Yes, ma'am.
please invite Vice President Telang sir to say a few words.
Okay, okay, ma'am. I request Telang sir to kindly unmute the mic and take up the screen. And
Hello. Sorry, can you hear me, Maricha? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It is
sir.
audible. You may turn on your camera, sir.
First, I thank Lakshmi Madam for giving us such a good lecture on environment. Thank you, Madam. Now, Lakshmi Madam was a junior to me by 4 years in Parley College,
Yes.
now Sate College. I'm a proud student of Parley College, and I was direct student of Dr. Principal C.V. Joshi. We were 4 students doing BSc, and Principal C.V. Joshi used to take our lecture in his office. Now, his lecture, there was no limit. Starting, of course, was there, but the lecture used to go for sometime 1.5 hours, 2 hours. In between, he used to serve us tea also. And it was a wonderful lecture. And I'm very proud that I was student of Principal C.V. Joshi. I was student of Parley College, now Sate College. And also I am happy that today student of Parley College is presenting this paper. Now, this any student, if you ask Parley College, Sate College, they are proud to say that they are from Parley College. Now, coming to the Principal C.V. Joshi is a dynamic personality. In fact, people in university were scared of him. People used to hate geography and were finding it very difficult, mainly because of dynamism of Principal Joshi. It could be introduced. Otherwise, this university was ruled by some Parsis and others, so they were not in favor of geography. And Principal Joshi introduced geography first in Rupari College, then Parley College, and I joined Parley College in 1964, 1963, and I passed my BSc in 1964. And again, I am saying Principal Joshi was teaching us. Now, Principal Joshi has was the president of our Bombay Geographical Association. And he used to organize, that is, field trips. He used to have some diplomas in the geography for the school teachers. And today, the contact with the school teacher has become less in geography department, Bombay Geographical Association. But formerly, we used to have the diploma for the teachers, non-geography, like teachers were teaching geography, and it was not interesting, and this diploma has helped the many schools. Now, with this, I thank Chauhan Madam. I also thank the Munni Madam. Now, here I want to make a mention about Sudhir Devare, who has joined here. He was my contemporary. He was doing chemistry, I was doing BSc. Same time we have passed BSc. And of course, he has become a very big person. He was he passed IAS and joined the foreign service. And I thank Sudhirji. I thank you very much for attending this session. I thank all of you for giving me a chance to talk to you. Thank you. Swati.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful.
The session is now open for the interactive questions. Anybody has any questions? Yes. Hello.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay. My question is with reference to the future implications. What are the monitoring devices for the street to the coastal cities or towns of the India, especially Calcutta, Mumbai, and Madras? The ecological implication, such as the environmental hazards, tsunami or the tornado or storm surges. What are the monitoring devices which will protect the coastal towns of the India?
All right. Thank you very much for the question. Well, all the cities of India are overcrowded, including Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi. They record some of the highest per square meter population in the world. This is mainly because of rural to urban migration. So the one measure which I have suggested is, if you make the rural area self-sufficient with respect to everything, they need not move to the urban areas. For example, in many of the European cities or in other areas, the rural areas are made self-sufficient. They have a good institution, they have a college, they have a hospital, they have, all the facilities that exist in an urban area is provided in rural areas. So there is no attraction for them to move to urban areas. This is one practical method that can be adopted. And the second one is, the sea mining, the sand mining, and deforestation along the coast where these plantations and all are there. All that should be checked completely. Sand mining and the sea mining activities rob a lot of plants, soil, and so much of good earth from the land, and it goes into the sea. So that also causes a lot of erosion. So basically protection of trees, that is very important. That's why plant trees as much as possible. Every time you plant a tree, it supports a very huge area of support system. I mean, it's very easy to say, but it has to be practiced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I would also like to mention, my classmates. I mean, when I was at Elphinstone College, Bharti used to be working with me. I think she was with me for 2 years. It was what a wonderful time it used to be. I also had Varsha Pednekar. I think Hemant Pednekar is around. I saw him somewhere. His sister is Varsha Pednekar. And also Professor Chowdhury, who is with the university department. He also worked with me almost for a year or two, I don't remember. Yeah, and Professor Telang, I'm so happy to have heard you after such a long time. These are nostalgic. When I remember people like Prem Lata. I can see you also here. All of you, I go back into that nostalgia of the 1970s to 73 when we were at the university, how we joined. We were the first students to have moved into the Kalina campus, and the snakes used to be around. One of our students was bitten by a snake. So, memorable experiences, and to revive them in such a meeting is always my pleasure. If I have missed out some names, please pardon me. But I do remember a lot of our people. I think I will also. I also wish to thank Dipti, because she used to come to give the lectures on practicals, remote sensing, etc. So I do remember her a lot. And I also remember when we talk about C.B. Joshi, Principal C.B. Joshi, his pune used to be one Mr. Pantoji. And that Pantoji was a pune even when I was a student. And even when I passed out, I continued staying in Sargam for many years, and then I moved to other areas. So Pantoji used to give us a continuous information about C.B. Joshi and everything. Now he's retired. So again, these are some of the memories that I just replenished as I was seeing you and I was looking at all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
पेडणेकर सर 2 शब्द बोला ना प्लीज. Principal Pednekar sir is Vice President of Bombay Geographical Association.
Okay.
Sorry, I now remember. He is as a guest speaker for some program. So he has left the program. At 4 o'clock he was having the session. So he must have left now. Right. Please continue, Kasturi.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody more needs to share their views? Can please unmute your mic and share the views?
Premlata madam, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So nice. Lakshmi, you are the same. And the way you said nostalgic, really, I remember all those memories. It's so nice to hear you. Very informative, very good you gave. Lovely. It was lovely. Thank you. Keep updates like this only.
Like when I see you just now, I remember, we going to Bhutan and Darjeeling and all those areas. What wonderful trip and what wonderful memories we have. Together.
All those were academic. All those were academic.
They were all academic.
Yeah. So nice. Thank you.
Kasturi, please take the program ahead.
Okay, okay, ma'am. I would just like to make an announcement. The feedback form link is being shared in the chat section. I'm resharing it again in the chat section. All the participants who are there in the event can fill up the feedback form. Moving ahead, we are coming to the end of our program today. I call upon Dr. Aparna Phadke ma'am to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kasturi. It was a pleasure, having Principal Lakshmi Vyas Madam for the talk, and definitely, all have been enriched because of her, a deep, you can say, dive in this ecological and environmental ethics and this particular topic, and she also took everyone on tour of this ethics, and at the same time, there was also a kind of a personal, touch to everything, because I think, sustainability and environmental ethics is something that probably, is the need of the hour. And so, first and foremost, I would like to thank Professor Lakshmi Vyas, former principal. Ma'am, it was a pleasure to have you. And, whenever you talk, we feel that, you are a part of a family and you are head of the family, family of geographers. And, it was such a great pleasure to have you. And the way you explained the topic, it was so well explained. Thank you so much, in spite of being away, from our mother country, still, you agreed to, deliver this particular talk. So thank you so much, ma'am, on behalf of Bombay Geographical Association, Department of Geography, Parle College, and Department of Geography, University of Mumbai. On behalf of these three institutions, I would like to offer you, it was a very great privilege, and I definitely would like to thank you for accepting the invitation and delivering such a wonderful talk. I would also, yes, most welcome, ma'am, and definitely we would like to have you more and more, because these webinars have become, such an easy method to access people all around the world. So I think, we will definitely would like to have you for all kinds of, endeavors that we will take up in future. Secondly, I would like to propose my thanks to Principal, Principal Rajwade, Principal Rajwade, Sathe College, because Principal Rajwade basically agreed to, okay, yeah, I'm extremely sorry. Principal Rajwade, because, he graciously agreed to host this particular lecture. And because he graciously agreed to host this particular lecture, for his encouragement and support to Mr. Daneshwar Bombay for organizing this particular lecture, memorial lecture, and Principal C.P. Joshi memorial lecture. So, we are extremely thankful to Principal Rajwade for allowing us and for supporting us to have this particular Principal C.P. Joshi memorial lecture. We definitely thank Vijay Joshi sir, because you will find that, they have instituted this particular memorial lecture, and they have, graciously come forward, and they have always, whenever this lecture happens, in the physical presence of everyone, I remember,
he is always present, he always encourages us, and hence he's the most important, you can say, source of inspiration for us, Bombay Geographical Association, to conduct such wonderful lectures, to invite such wonderful experts. So our sincere thanks to even Mr. Vijay Joshi. Next, I would definitely, propose my vote of thanks to Mr. Daneshwar Bombay. Mr. Daneshwar Bombay, who accepted, this particular invitation from Bombay Geographical Association. He and his team, Mr. Abhijit, Ms. Kasturi, and of course, the technical support from their college also, as I don't know their names, so I don't know really, but then these three people, the team of these three people, young people, and the whole, you can say, technical support from this particular Sache College, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the whole team, and especially Daneshwar Bombay for basically holding this particular lecture in such a nice way. No technical snags, no technical glitches, everything went so smooth. Because when you do something online, it is always a fear that there might be something happening and all, but then the whole session went so smooth. So I would definitely like to propose a sincere, you can say, thanks to Professor Bombay and his team, entire team. I would also like to express my gratitude towards Professor Dipti Mukherjee, Professor Savismita Vilas Rao Chavan, Professor Bharti Unni, all of them, this is the youngest probably brigade, we have in our Bombay Geographical Association, because, the way they work and the kind of capacity with they work even now. So, madam, because, you have taken this initiative, all of you, and that is the reason, we could have this particular Principal C.B. Joshi Memorial Lecture, on online platform through Google Meet. So sincere, you can say, my sincere gratitude towards you for taking up this particular initiative. I also would put on record Lieutenant Gaurang Rajwadekar, and then Khade sir, Abhijit Avar, Kapil Ashtekar, and Nikhil Gavai, all of them behind the scenes, but they are always, supportive, and they always support, any kind of program that is arranged by Bombay Geographical Association. Actually, we very much wanted to have this, as a YouTube streamline. We wanted to actually, streamline this through YouTube, but then, whatever technical procedures we were supposed to complete, that we could not, and that is the reason. Otherwise, definitely next lecture we will be able to streamline it on YouTube through Google Meet. That definitely we will be able to do. It's a great, you can say, a pleasure to have all the esteemed geographers. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude towards Professor Hemant Pednekar, Professor Telang, Professor Fatke, and all those who have joined this, Professor Premlata Singhi madam, and all of them who have joined this particular lecture online. At the same time, this particular lecture is recorded already, and then this lecture will be, of course, published in the YouTube channel of BGA, and so definitely this particular lecture will also be available for everyone all over across the world. So I congratulate the present executive committee for taking up such all kinds of technological, you can say, initiatives to reach out, not just people and geographers in India, but also abroad. Because if it is uploaded on the YouTube channel, definitely it will be widely available to everyone. So I congratulate the executive body of Bombay Geographical Association. I also congratulate Department of Geography Sache College. And I propose, my sincere vote of thanks to everyone, who is involved in the organization of this particular lecture. Thank you so much, and over to you, Kasturi.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As we are concluding towards our program now, I have shared the link in the chat box section. All the participants can register their reviews on that link and submit it. The certificates will be e-certificates and will be mailed to you all on the email address given by you in the form itself. I once again thank everyone for being with us today, and also all the dignitaries and all the members of BGA and all college staff, our principal and vice principals for supporting us throughout the whole event. Thank you, everyone.
A great thank you to Kasturi Madam and Bombay Sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Lakshmi Madam.
Thank you very much for giving me this invitation, and the whole thing was conducted very well, and I really enjoyed speaking to all of you. And I'm sure all of you will keep the tradition going on. And my once again my pranams to Vijay Joshi sir and Principal Rajwade sir. Kindly please pass it on to them if you have already left. Thank you very much.
And we'll pay our tributes today to Principal C.V. Joshi sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.